welcome to the Basics of Life. My name is Ken Burkey, and in the house today is Christy Sheble.
Yes.
I've known her so long, I knew her with some other names, but her title at Green Valley is Creative Arts and Programming Director, which basically, which basically means you just get to boss a lot of us around.
I get to have fun.
Yeah, you do get to have fun in a lot of different areas. But what we want to talk about today, we've never done a show on this, as we approach the holiday season, about our Christmas musical. Our Christmas musical at Green Valley, this is our 20th anniversary.
20 years.
20 years.
I'm old.
Yes. Have you been involved all 20 years?
Almost. I watched it the first 2 years and fell in love with it, and that's why I wanted to get involved. I wanted to be a part of it. I was an artistic person who was in banking.
Wow. Yeah, that is strange, knowing your personality. I never thought about that, you being in banking. Now, we started the show, I mean, I've tried to have as little to do with it as possible. I've just been a cheerleader. But, doing a few shows, and now we do how many?
How many shows do we do? We have 13 that we're doing this year.
13 shows throughout the month of December.
We have done 14, 13 shows.
Just depending on the way
the weekends fall and the holiday season. Yeah, 13 shows.
Well, why don't you give a little bit of history, because it is 20th year, and it's one of the highlights for our community and for our church. But we'll talk about that. But just kind of talk about the history of how did it get to 13 shows?
How did it get to 13 shows? A lot of people with a lot of talents, finding an outlet for them. Like I was saying, I was working in banking, and I was going to the church, and I found out that there was this thing called the musical that I could be a part of, and I had these talents, these abilities. I wasn't a professional. I knew I didn't have that kind of capability, but I heard that there was something that was, and saw that there was something that was awesome that I could be a part of, and it was attractive to me. And so I started to become a part of it. I started to help and sing and dance and choreograph, because I always liked to put dances together as a little kid. But and I started to help, and I fell in love with it, and so did a ton of other people, and that's why I got involved originally. But over the years, this show in our community has become a staple. It's a tradition. It's every year we strive to get better and better at what we do, because we care about making it great for our community. And every year, I think it has gotten better, and more people hear about it. And so when people first come to our show at Green Valley, they usually, the first response is they're pretty surprised by what they saw, because it is something that we put a lot of work into.
Yeah.
We start working on the show, the people who put it together at the beginning of the year, January, February. And all the volunteers who come out to be a part of the show, they start working on it in August.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question, because there's dancing, there's a lot of singing. The dancing is one of the highlights. There's just a lot of happiness to these shows, a lot of energy. How much, with the volunteers, how much does this have to do with talent, and how much does this have to do with hard work?
I'd say it mostly has to do with hard work. I talk to people who who thought they might have a little bit of talent or an attraction to be a part of something like this, but it has a lot to do with the desire to do something great. Now, of course, you have to have a passion for what you're doing. It takes hundreds of people to put on the show, and about 60 to 80 of them actually are on the stage. So you have to want to be on the stage and want to enjoy that, and that be something that you're attracted to doing. But there are people who are good at building. There are people who are good at making food. There are people who are good at putting on makeup. There are people who are good at doing all sorts of things that make it happen, but it has a lot to do with passion. Passion
and hard work.
Yes, and hard work.
Hard work, because I think people will come in and go, wow, this just naturally happens. These talented people get up there and dance, but a lot of it is just, and I mean that as a compliment to the people who really understand why they're doing this, and so they put a lot of hard work, and that excellence just brings people
We
in.
always say we're a lot of ordinary people who come together with a greater purpose to do something extraordinary. And I think the formula is that there are people who care about doing something great for our community, and they have a common purpose, and that they want to offer the love and the hope of God to our community. And because they care so much, and because they're willing to put 3 days a week into this, amazing things happen.
Talk about kids.
Well, I know.
Why
over the
is that
years-
important?
Yeah, it's really important for kids to be a part of this show. You know, the arts in our schools have kind of mostly gone away. And so I think it's important for kids to build confidence to get on stage and feel like I can do something great and I can have confidence in front of people. But it's good for kids in learning all over. I mean, I know experts show that if you learn music and if you learn other arts, that you are a more well-rounded kid and a smarter kid for it.
Right. But also with the kids, it also brings an energy to the
Oh
show.
yeah, the audience loves kids.
Yeah.
Kids just bring an energy that you can't get without them. So yeah.
So this year, what are we doing this year?
We are doing a show.
This is the 20th anniversary.
It's the 20th anniversary. We're doing a show that we've done before. It's called The Christmas Post, and it's set in 1944 during World War II. And it's a lively show. It has a ton of fun and energy, but it has a really cool story. The main character is a mom who has lost her husband and is struggling, and she is having a hard time just hanging on and making ends meet financially, but more important, just holding it all together, you know, making sure she's a good mom and she can emotionally support her kid. And I think it's a place where a lot of us find ourselves. I feel like as being a mom myself and having a job and having kids and being a good spouse and a good partner and doing everything well, sometimes I feel like, and I know that I can't do it on my own. And this character finds herself in this place, and she is trying to hang on, and she is trying to do it all on her own. But what she finds out is she can't, and she's not made to do that. She's not wired up to do that. She's supposed to lean into community. She's supposed to lean into her creator, and that's what she finds out.
What I love about the shows each year too is because you will take some familiar stories or shows we've done before and you tweak them. Talk about that.
We like to make it a little fresh every year, and we like to change it up. But yeah, we've done this show before, probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and we always want to make it new because people, this is a tradition. People come back year after year after year, and we want to make it new and fresh and relevant.
Well, and you have a new cast too.
Yeah.
Well, so you'll have new people, new volunteers, and yet what I also like is that you make it, you adapt it to the times that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
So
most of this cast has never done this show, so it's gonna. Whenever you have new people in a show, it feels like a brand new creation.
Yeah, I think this show. This year, it was a great show to pick for the 20th because it's got a lot of energy, a lot of music, a lot of dancing, but that storyline that you just talked about is so relevant today. And talk about the volunteers, and you know, people come to the show, see these volunteers, and we have to remind those that are attending that these are volunteers. That we're not hiring out, you know, talent, but. Talk about what happens to them through this process.
Well, one, we become a family. I mean, we become really close, you know, working together so closely and so often together on a project like this. But the reason we do the show is why we become so close. These are people who, one, love to be artistic and have an attraction to that already. But more importantly, they care about giving a gift to our community, to offering something amazing during Christmas time, and yeah, it's cool to have an amazing show, and it's a fun show and it's lively. But what they care most importantly about is offering just some happiness at Christmas time, because for a lot of people it's a time that's not so happy.
Right. Yeah.
It's a time that's maybe they're feeling lonely, or maybe they've lost someone, or maybe they're just struggling like our main character to make things work. And so it's a reminder that these are 100, 200 plus people who put the show together that care about you sitting in that seat and offering you hope and reminding you that we're supposed to be doing this together.
Yeah. I think we forget that, you know, the holiday season with all the lights and the music and people, you know, busy, that there's a lot of loneliness and a lot of discouragement during the holidays. I mean, We know this. I mean, statistics show that, but I think this is truly a gift to the community for that reason.
It is. Another thing that happens, and that I've heard, I met a gal this year who was retired and was looking forward to retirement. She couldn't wait for retirement because she could just do what she wanted to do, and she and her husband could work on the stuff that they wanted to work on. And she told me that she was kind of feeling a little empty and surprised by what she was feeling in retirement, was looking forward to all this fun and focusing on what she wanted.
Right.
And she was surprised at how she was feeling. And she came to the Christmas show last year, and she said she didn't know who I was. She didn't know that I was a part of it, but she was just sharing, I came to that show that Green Valley had last year, and ever since then, I've been back every week. And she got involved in ministries and serving other people in our community. And that was the spark that told her, I need to be doing something to give back. And that's what she's found joy in. And not everybody who comes to the show will figure out, this is what I need to be doing. A lot of people already are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
But for her, it was a beginning of a joyful living.
Let me, you got a million of those stories, and I want you to share a few more, but I want to say this in a way that, and you can elaborate on this. There's two words that come to mind that we're trying to do with the musical, that we try to do at Green Valley. And I don't mean this pridefully, but this show tries to give hope, so that's the first word,
Yes.
hope. And there's another word that we use, and that is we strive for excellence. Well, hope and excellence isn't usually connected to when people think of, if you ask people, what words do you think of when they think of church?
Yeah.
They may think condemnation or boring or
Right.
irrelevant or whatever. And I think it's important. I think when people walk through those doors and there's something excellent, not because we're trying to be prideful, but because God deserves our best, and our
Yes,
community
absolutely.
deserves our
Absolutely.
best. If we're going to ask people to come, and then hope. Hope is what God is all about, and I think it breaks down barriers when people walk out of there going, wow, the church can be relevant,
Yeah.
and people so desperately need hope. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, for a lot of people, I think the idea of serving others or finding hope in serving others or looking outside our own circumstances, that's a big deal for me. Looking outside of my struggles, my stress, my worries, my fears, looking outside of that helps me realize there's so much more to living, and there's so much more joy I can find in life. And we're in the business of reminding a lot of people, or inspiring and reminding, I would say too, is that yes, we do something wonderful and we do it with excellence to the best of our abilities, but that inspiration to remind people about how they're living, because face it, Christmas season, whether you're in a hopeful spot, you're in a great spot, whether you're in a sad or lonely spot, it's busy, and it's a good time to just sit and enjoy and be reminded and be inspired together as a family, or even if you're all by yourself, of there's more to the Christmas season, there's more to the whole year long than just striving to earn that happiness or to achieve that happiness, because it doesn't come from that struggle. And I fight that all the time personally.
Yeah. I keep going back to the Christmas musical gives us a great model or template for the rest of the year, though, or in a challenge to the church that the good news, Christmas, the story of Christmas, it's hopeful. It's all about hope and excellence, that we should give God our best with our time, talents, and treasures. And that's what the Christmas musical shows. And excellence is not the end, it's a means to an end, and it's a means to bringing hope.
We strive to put the very best show together and put the very best people in the places that they need to be, and to bring talents to a place that people never imagined they could. A lot of people come in with what they think is a talent right here. And when you put the ingredient of a passionate purpose and something that's so much bigger than them, it's amazing what happens. It's amazing the heights that a cast can come to. People come to our show and say, no way that those are volunteers. I mean, most of those people are paid people. People come from the Bay Area every year to watch the show. So,
and you tell them, when they say, wow, they're so excellent, and you say, well, you should have seen them in
You
August.
should have seen them in August. They're all scared to death and thought they could never make it happen.
Yeah.
But they do, and they do every year. And a lot of them, I think, maybe come because they're attracted to being artistic. They're attracted to the arts. But what they find out, what they fall in love with, is what they get to do for the community and what they get to give them. It's just they gain so much by this present that they feel like that they get to give everybody who comes to the show.
Well, and then the lifelong friendships that happen when you spend that much time together. You know, the cast just becomes friends, and that lasts far beyond.
And beyond, and like
musical.
we talked about how many volunteers are in the show, but there are twice as many that are behind the scenes that help, and with all kinds of talents and all kinds of abilities that can sew and do makeup and make food, like we said. But it takes a ton of people, and we do all become like a family.
One of the things I appreciate about your leadership is that you keep the vision real clear. And so, you know, in any area where you're trying to accomplish something, motives can get all over the map, and you keep people's motives pure. And I think that's, people, there really is unity on that cast, that this is why we're doing it, to bring hope to our community. And so that's why when people sense there's a joy on that stage.
There is a joy on that stage.
It's really, they're not faking it.
Yeah.
They're not faking it.
There is a joy. Yeah.
In fact, the biggest struggle sometimes is keeping people quiet behind the stage because
They're
they're
so
truly
excited.
friends and they're having such a good time.
Yeah, because we have to remind ourselves that it's not about us, and it's once you start to hear the stories coming back from people who have been offered a hope when they feel hopeless, or reminded of a bigger way of living, a broader scope of living than what they had before. Once you start to hear those stories, you get addicted to it.
Yeah. Well, and being able to do 13, 12 to 14 shows a year, you don't just do the show and then it's over. You do a show, you hear a story, so you're thinking about that story the next show. As we wrap this up, you have a story or two? I mean, you told us the one story, but you have any other stories you like to share?
Gosh. Well, at Green Valley, I'm fortunate enough now to work there. I volunteered there for a couple decades before working. And like I want to say again, 99% of this is volunteers. So the volunteers mean so much, but it's broader than just, it's doing life together. We have a funeral ministry, and there was a young family who came to our church and didn't ever think they would come to church, or that they had a need for knowing God before they had a loss in their family. And they came to church because of a funeral, but they saw a little glimpse of the volunteers, and there's something different about why we do what we do, and heard about the Christmas musical. And this is somebody who wouldn't have been attracted to come back, but they were artistic, and they said, well, maybe I like to act, maybe I could come do that. And this family is now they were in the show last year, but they're a vital part of what we do now, and they have friendships that they didn't have. They were kind of isolated before this and angry before this, and they found out that the God that they thought existed wasn't really the real picture of what was really happening. And they found out that God is about community, and God is about hope, and God is about something completely different than what they thought before. And now they're offering so much this show.
And you got to baptize them too.
Yeah.
In the river.
Very special, and they're close friends now.
Yeah. Well, there's about 1 million of those stories. But as we wrap this up, when is the show this year, and where do you get tickets?
Okay, this year the show runs December 6th through the 20th, and you can get tickets by calling the church at 622-1076. That's our box office number. Or you can go online to gvcconline.com and get tickets, or stop by the church Tuesday through Friday during business hours and get tickets.
Is it .com or .net?
It's .com.
Is it really?
Yeah,
GVCC Online?
It used to be .net, but we kind of came into
Really?
Yeah, we're
Really?
.com.
Oh, but you can get to it through .net.
Yeah, you can go either way.
Well, it's .com. All right.
Yeah, tickets are $9, so they're a great present to your family, to friends, and it's a great night out. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a blast.
It's really
I'm
fun.
looking forward to this year's show, just because, again, it's always great.
We have a fun time.
Yeah, and go online, look at the times, or call the church, or you get tickets there. You can. They're available at the church and online. But the other thing is matinees, which
we have a
over the
couple
last
matinees.
few years,
We have 2 Saturdays and 2 Sunday matinees. So those are popular if you have kids who can't stay out late.
Yeah, what's always sad is each year, the shows
Yes.
sell out fast.
Get them fast.
Yeah.
Get them fast
Yeah.
because people don't realize the show's already happening and then they
Right.
miss out on coming. So
Right.
get them right away.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Well, thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christy, the Creative Arts and Programming Director at Green Valley Community. Christy's my friend, so I never quite call her by
No.
her title. But
Other names.
thanks for your passion, and it's a privilege that we get to do this too.
It is.
So, all right. Thank you, and thanks for being with us on the Basics of Life, and we'll see you next time.